at the motorway. So they used that coastal road, which was not designed for such a weight. And so within a short time, we are back there again to do the road. And that is a lot of burden, economic burden to the country, because it's you and I, our taxes that are used. And we also go out to borrow, which our children will be saddled with when they are, even though they are not yet born. The ministry is pursuing the implementation of the law on axle load limit as stipulated in the new road traffic regulation. Intensive education and sensitization on the new regulation have been undertaken. Key stakeholders such as freight forwarders, haulers, trackers, port operators, and private way range station operators have been involved in this exercise. Workshops and debates have also been organized in the Flawon and Kwanta. These workshops and debates will be extended to the other remaining regions before the year ends. Professor Chairman, despite all the efforts to close the road infrastructure gap, it is obvious that this cannot be solely done by government. The ministry will continue to engage the private sector using public-private partnership schemes for the financing, construction, and management of road infrastructure. The procurement of consultants to undertake studies on the dualization of the Akrata-Pradi Road has been completed. This project, which is part of the Ghana PPP project, is financed by the World Bank and is expected that the IDA will contribute to the implementation of the project. The contract for the financing, design, construction of maintenance, and maintenance of an overpass on the motorway at Teshi Link has been signed with the Link Infrastructure Company Limited. The concessionaire is currently at the design stage and physical works are planned to commence soon. The ministry has registered the Akrata motorway and the Western Corridor Roads Phase 1 Elubusi-Yani as PPP projects with the Ministry of Finance, and discussions are ongoing with various private entities to finalize the concessions. In order to reduce the incidence of road accidents, the government through the National Road Safety Commission has embarked on road safety audits, educational activities, and treatment of accident black spots. The road fund is used to support activities of the National Road Safety Commission so that we can have safe roads to travel on. The massive investment has been specifically made in order to ensure that transport is used as a vehicle not only to achieve the targets set under the growth and poverty reduction strategy, but also to achieve the Millennium Development Goals and the attainment of a full middle income status by the year 2015. Professor Chairman, despite these numerous efforts that the government is making, there are some key challenges that continue to affect the effectiveness and efficiency of the infrastructure development. These challenges include the following: inadequate contractor capacity. The capacity of most of our contractors to effectively execute road projects awarded them remains a concern of government. This deficiency is in the form of technical expertise and availability of appropriate equipment. Excessive axle loads. With a stable economic environment in Ghana and the use of our ports by other countries within the West Africa, more heavy vehicles are continuously patronizing our roads. This calls for strict enforcement of axle load control regulations for existing roads and new innovations in pavement designs to make our road projects cost effective. This will go a long way to reduce the government's annual road development and maintenance budget required, and thus release more funds for other important issues being considered by government. Inadequate funding. Availability of funds for roads has also been a major challenge. We are all aware of the fact that once we build a good road in an area, things begin to happen to the socio-economic benefit of the area, the region, or the nation as a whole. Yet a good number of our roads that we built are largely dictated by the goodwill of donors or the availability of external rather than our local resources. Professor Chairman, participants, media practitioners, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've adequately shown that government has already broken the myth surrounding the road infrastructure development. I'm optimistic that the deliberations and decisions from this conference will not be printed and shelved, but will be implemented to enable our various countries benefit from this conference. Once again, I wish to thank the organizers of the conference for the invitation. Let me indicate that I will be leaving shortly. I'm even late for a cabinet meeting, but I attach so much importance to this meeting this morning. That's why I decided to be here. I would have wished, as the organizer said, to stay throughout, but I have got a very powerful team of seasoned directors and engineers from my ministry and agencies who will stay throughout this workshop, and they definitely will give me a report when they come to office. I thank you very much.
Will be on the road construction, the impact on the Ghanaian economy. I must admit, getting data on road is really difficult in the country, and I'm hoping that after this bit, we'll find a way of addressing that, because if you're in a country, most of your resources is going into road and infrastructure, and you cannot get disaggregated data, then it's a big problem. Road transport in particular is important for developing countries such as Ghana, where it provides over 80%. The minister said about 94% of the total inland and border crossing transport of goods and people. An effective road network can hasten the progress of agricultural and rural development, industry and trade, accessibility to healthcare and education, expansion of jobs, and the viability of urban areas. Conversely, the lack of it also hinders the entire development efforts and agenda. Nevertheless, the contribution of road infrastructure to national development may be difficult to quantify in economic terms, and this becomes very, very crucial because we know that you need road for virtually every movement, and even if you want to try to quantify it, the question becomes, how do you? Going to work in the morning, going to do your business, going to the hospital, going to you need a road. And if you try to quantify it, if there's a life lost, for instance, you want to go to the hospital and there's a life lost, how do you quantify it? So road is very, very, very important, and the stage of the developmental stage that we've got into, I think we need to find a way of making sure that our roads are in good form. Good infrastructure such as road construction helps to lower the productivity cost, hence contributing to economic growth. And here I must touch on productivity issue also, as mentioned by the minister. We are in an environment where we've talked about singles plan increased salaries, but we've forgotten that people need to move from their homes to their office. So we are paying people well, but they cannot get to their office. Okay, and we are also in a country where every business in the country starts at 8 o'clock. So between 6 and 8, everybody's on the road. Banks open 8:30, school starts at 8 o'clock, government business starts at 8 o'clock, so everybody's in a rush. Just after 8:30, you see that traffic congestion goes down. And I think we need to think as a country how we are going to use our road and maximize its use. This chart shows the sectorial contribution of national output. And here we have the three main sectors: agriculture, industry, and then services. Construction falls under industry. Okay? And you'll notice from this graph that the industrial sector has been playing an important role, and as of 2012, in terms of contribution to the national output, it's leading. Under the industrial sector, we have quarrying and mining, we we have construction itself, electricity, and you'll notice that this is a sector that commands a lot of infrastructure. Okay. So as the minister said, yes, this sector is very, very important, but its importance in the economy is downplayed, and I think it's high time we need to bring out that sector. Because if we want to create more jobs in the country, it is this sector, okay, that will run the country in terms of industry, in terms of the road construction and other activities. So I'll focus on the construction subsector before I go a little on the impact. The production of houses and dwelling, and the construction of roads, highways and bridges are some of the key products of the construction subsector. And in Ghana, the construction of major roads and highways is often contracted to registered construction firms with very large operations undertaken by foreign firms. And here I must say, somebody will say, look at the type of road being constructed and you know the type of contractor who is working on it. I mean, this one, you don't need to be educated, and you know, you see N1 and you know the type of contractor. You see a road in Ashoman passing by my house and you also know the type of contractor who is doing it. And I've been asking myself, how are we going to build capacity in our local contractors? If we don't have a mechanism such that these foreign contractors will work out with our local contractors, then we will keep on using them in most of our road construction. And that is an area where we need to think of, so that the type of, I know all the limitations in terms of initial financing and other things, but we need to find a way around it. Because as a country, we could also sell our services in the sub-region, in terms of contractors in Ghana going to other countries to construct their road. Many Ghanaian many Ghanaian construction workers operate in the informal sector of the construction industry. And in 2012, the construction subsector in Ghana grew at a high rate of 11.2%. And this growth ensured that it remained the most important industrial subsector as measured by the size of the value of added GDP. So when you look at industrial sector, you notice that construction is very, very, very key. And that's subsector, that's where we find roads. The growth rate was lower than 17.2% growth rate recorded in 2011, and was also lower than the average growth rate of 15.4% over the 5-year period of 2008 to 2012. Now, when you look at this data, you will notice this is the industry part, okay, and this is the GDP in billions of Ghana cedis in terms of contribution to that sector. You will notice I've tried to disaggregate the industrial sector, and you see construction, which I've bolded, and you'll notice that over the period from 2006, in terms of contribution to GDP, the construction part is playing an important role. So if you take industry, about 7,659 million Ghana cedis, but the construction part is generating as much as 2,541. And this tells you the importance of that sector in the economy. And I wish after this meeting, the importance will also be reflected in how we do our business in the country. This table also shows the share of GDP in terms of industry and then the subsectors. So in 2012, industry formed about 27.3% of the GDP. And you notice that construction alone contributes about 10.5%, which is quite huge. Because when you look at the other sectors, you hardly get a subsector contributing such an amount in its sector. Okay. And this also emphasizes the importance of construction. I mean, we have mining and quarry here, okay, and that is where most of the oil and gas business falls. But then we have the construction. And this brings to bear what we mean by construction in the country. Okay. Are we saying that the equipment for mining and quarry, we put it here as construction, or is it just the road, or it is the housing? And I think we need to define very well what we mean by construction. If not, anything that doesn't fit any of the mining, quarry, manufacturing, electricity, water and sewage, we just call it construction. All the hardware, all the equipment coming in, where do we put it? So if it's for the mining sector, we put it under mining and construction, or we put it under construction. And we need to find a way of defining that sector very well. Now the impact. Sorry, this is very, very bad. What I tried to do was to show the contribution in terms of Ghana Revenue Authority, the domestic division, the contribution coming from construction and construction equipment. Okay, sorry, you are not seeing it very well, but you notice that between 2008 and 2011, the sector has been contributing about 2.78% of the revenue generated. Okay, and this is minus the human resource component that will go into another category. Okay. Now, in terms of economically active population 15 years and older, in terms of employment, and using the 2010 population census, we have a total workforce of about 10.3 million, and of this, about 1.56 million is in the industrial sector, and of this, again, we have about 317,525, making giving us a percentage of 3.1% in the construction industry. Okay. And when you look at male and female ratio, we have quite a lot of male in it compared to the female. Okay. And this is a sector, in the industrial sector, if you take manufacturing, that is the next most important sector that generates a lot of employment. Certainly we know manufacturing, yes, takes a lot of people, and then followed by construction. And my concern also is with the type of people in the construction industry. It's a sector where you have quite a number of skilled and unskilled workers because of the nature of the work. Okay, and if we want to be, Ghana to be known as a country in construction, we have to find a way of reducing the unskilled component of the labor force in construction. I mean, I'm not shocked about that because, like the road contractors have been saying, when am I going to get my money? So it's so difficult recruiting the highly skilled people because you might not be able to pay them. And these are issues that we also need to consider as we go through this day's discussion, because it also influences the quality of the work at the end of the day. Now, in terms of the impact, it's been documented, and most of the impact that I'm going to raise is based on literature and other studies that I've tried to pick up during the last few days. Ghana itself, there are very, very few studies that have been done on the impact, and for most of them that I've come across, they are case studies. Okay. It's been noted that there's a rapid increase of market price for farm produce when there's a road close to the farm. And it's also been documented that there's enlargement of farm sizes when there are also roads close to their farm. And this can easily be seen. The example given by the Honorable Minister, where he said when a bypass is created, within a year or two, you tend to get a lot of activities coming there. Because if you are a farm, if you're a farmer and you have a farm close by, it's an opportunity for you either to convert your farm into a residential plot, or if you can expand your farm, you do it because you can get your buyers so close by. Okay. We've also, and the literature has told us that with good roads to the farm, there's an increase in adoption of modern farming techniques. Just imagine an extension agent who needs to see its clients and hasn't got any access to road. Once there's an access to road, communication with the extension agent and the farmer also increases. Roads that have been paved in rural areas and linking them to cities have boosted trade in agricultural products, as cost of transportation of agricultural products has gone down. We know that transportation costs in agricultural produce is so high. And depending on the commodity and which part of the country the commodity is coming from, you can have an idea of the final price of that commodity. So we expect that with improvement in roads, items that we buy on the market, the prices should go down. This is very, very complex because we also know that if there's a good road by the farm, prices also, the farm gate price goes up. And we expect that when there are good roads linking the city, the prices should go down. But in Ghana, all these theories at times, it's not even working. It's mainly based on the demand. Okay. So when there's an increase in petroleum prices, and then you see drivers all of a sudden increasing their prices and attributing all to fuel, then it becomes a very, very, very big problem. Because we expect that if you have good roads, your cars should be run efficiently on it. And if you are running efficiently on it, you should be able to save fuel. I came across this study that showed the potential improvement in farm gate prices following a road upgrading. And this study was done by the World Bank somewhere in the Ashanti region. And the report came out with, for a 5-kilometer improvement in the road, the average farm gate price for maize goes up by 0.08%. And as the length of road is improved, you notice that the farm gate prices go up. Okay, and we see a similar thing for maize, for yam, and a similar thing also for plantain. So in terms of poverty alleviation and also helping our farmers also to get good price for their commodity, we don't need any special policies. Once good roads are there, we expect that issues of poverty, issues of farmers getting good prices for their produce will come by itself. In conclusion, the construction subsector has emerged as a major driver of economic growth in Ghana over the last 20 years. However, while highly efficient in powering economic growth, it does not create as many jobs as manufacturing. Yes, because as a nation, we haven't decided that we want to prioritize road construction for Ghanaians. And I'm sure if we decide to do that with the number of roads in the country, we'll have the right numbers in terms of employment. Further, it is well known that the construction industry employs large numbers of skilled and semi-skilled workers who experience unstable employment conditions given the temporary nature of most construction activities. And lastly, the government's overall objective under the shared growth, okay, is to achieve a preferable road condition mix. As government has the major source of financing of road construction projects, the government has a responsibility to ensure that it pays its construction firms on time. Thank you very much for your attention.
The availability of disaggregated data. I think over the years, our research unit of the ministry has been carrying out, studies with statistical service, and this data are available, so you can assess them and then help enrich, some of your decisions. Secondly, a number of studies have been conducted with regards to the impact over the years. These reports are available. So I think if you approach the ministry, some of these documentations will be available to you. On the issue of employment generation, I work with the Department of Federals, and over the years, through the use of the labor-based technology, we have created a lot of rural employment in predominantly the cocoa and food growing areas. It's an option. Unfortunately, there was a problem, and its use went down a little bit, but it has been reactivated.